Hey, everybody, welcome on back. This is the Rubbin Racing Podcast, and it is brought to you by Cabo Wabo Tequila, the unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. Cabo Wabo isn't just tequila. No, it's damn good, thick-cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila, and it's the official tequila partner of NASCAR. So we had a bold splash to race day watching with Cabo Wabo Tequila. And if you're heading to a race this weekend, or dare I say you're heading to a race next year in Mexico City with myself and Spider, come celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. But Cabo Wabo wants to remind you to leave the driving to the professionals, so please enjoy that thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo Tequila responsibly. Grab your buds and a bottle or maybe two of Cabo Wabo Tequila for the boldest race day experience ever. You got to be 21 years or older to handle, and you have to handle it responsibly, but it is delicious. Thank you, Cabo, for your continued support. Let's get to the show. Before we do anything, thank you so much to Ricky Stenhouse for carving out some time for us last week. It's a pleasure having that guy on the show, and it's an open invite to come back. I know he did a car wash with a bunch of other people, and I think his team won the kickball tournament that Corey LaJoy threw down in Charlotte last week. And in a similar announcement, we have Parker Kligerman joining us in just a couple of minutes to tell us whether or not he got fucked this weekend. So that's it for us. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to start out with the Nobody's Cooler, brought to you by Arctic Coolers, the only place we go for our coolers and insulated drinkware. Nobody's cooler than Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend after giving Martin Truex that fucking gift. I don't know what the perfect gift for Quigs is. I don't know what that is. I think Spider, because he's become a racing simulator god, right, with the help of Moonhead and stuff like that, getting Spider some sort of sim might be like a very good high-end fucking thing for him. What the hell do you get Moonhead? No idea. What do you get me? No idea. What do you get Martin Truex? You get him a pond. They gave him a pond, and it's a gated thing. He has 24-hour access anytime he wants to come down because his big passion is fishing. So if you're going to ask what's the coolest gift that I've ever seen somebody get on a retirement tour, and Martin hasn't gotten a lot of them, or at least they haven't gotten a lot of press, the pond that was gifted to him, fully stocked, by Charlotte Motor Speedway, really hit the mark. Nobody's cooler than them this week. How you guys doing? Everybody okay this week? What's going on?
Fantastic. Another great race. We're deep in the midst of playoffs. We have another one that we're going to here shortly. A lot to go. Look forward to racing-wise.
I'm doing good. I went to my first SEC football game this weekend. Went to LSU Ole Miss, which was unbelievable. And then got back Sunday just in time for the race.
What did you think, though, about the quality of the people around you at SEC football? This is a loaded question because I went down there and I noticed that everybody was beautiful. First time I stepped foot in an SEC state. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's particularly the women. We're all kind of cis males here. The women down there, I'm not being creepy, some of the most beautiful in the world and some of the most emotional, or not emotional, that's a fucking insult. Some of the more, the biggest football fans I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah, it's life or death. And I went to NC State, which is a decent Southern football program, but like the step it takes to like a school like LSU is insane. Yeah. It was a one-of-a-kind experience.
Happy belated birthday to Spanky, who's Moonhead's pick. How's everything going with you, Moon?
Good. Yes, yeah. Spanky's 7th birthday. We celebrated that last week, but other than that, just hung out and watched racing this weekend.
Fantastic. Speaking of passionate women, Haley Deegan got herself a seat. She'll shift to open wheel racing in 2025. She's competing in the Indy NXT Tour by Firestone with HMD Motorsports. I apologize. Indy NXT by Firestone with HMD Motorsports. She'll drive the number 38 entry for the full 14-race calendar of NXT. There's only 14 races, and that's the IndyCar Development Series. People are saying that she should do more dirt racing, but with this only being a 14-race schedule, should be easily able to add other shit in if she was to want to. I spoke to our old friend, Chase Spider, when we were listening to the Garage Guys and stuff before we had started this podcast a couple of years ago, and it was Chase and Dale. Dale just put out yesterday that if Martin Truex wins a race before the end of the year, he's going to cut his mullet. That was kind of interesting. I'd like to see Dale with like a short haircut.
That would be something.
Wild. Yeah. But I asked Chase because he had pivoted. He now hosts that Speed Street every week with a friend of ours, Connor Daly. Really great fucking guy. Love Connor. And I'd asked him, is this a big deal? He says it's good because, this is a quote, in the early 2000s, Danica Patrick brought a level of hype that hasn't been reached for that series since. Haley is Danica 2.0. With the new Fox deal and with her in the mix, we're set to explode next year, and you can quote me on that. So I didn't think that this was that splashy of a headline. I was like, going to open wheel. What did you think, Quiggs, when you heard this thing?
I just think that's a bold statement. I don't know if she's going to make that big of an impact.
I mean, I might tune into a race or two.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she brings Monster, like all of a sudden if Monster is running like, a car in the NXT series, there's a possibility for it. I don't know how well she's going to do. That remains to be seen. Obviously, the negative boo birds were out on the commenting page saying, oh, my God, get ready to, I feel bad for the fabricators in that shop, that type of thing. But if she does, become somewhat competitive, it's positive.
I definitely think it's a good thing, and there'll be a little bit of growth from it, but I don't know if she's going to make it explode.
Yeah, but I think he thinks it's a perfect storm with Fox, with a new Fox deal in the mix, plus starting to pick up people that, are at least recognizable and somewhat liked. I mean, I don't know if people really hate Haley Deegan. I hate Danica Patrick. That's why I didn't like the 2.0 reference. That cunt. But so, I don't know. Good luck to her either way. And that's it. And again, you can catch Chase Holden on Speed Street every week with Connor Daly, where they cover a lot of open wheel shit, which is good for them. I had seen this other thing. Texas A&M has partnered with Stuart Haas. A partnership kicks off this weekend in Las Vegas, where Chase Briscoe will wield the number 14 Texas A&M scheme, and then in the finale in Phoenix, Josh Berry will drive the number 4 Texas A&M Ford Mustang Dark Horse. I put a picture of that in there. I got to be honest, not a huge fan of this. Not a huge fan of that. It's got nothing to it. All it is the maroon or whatever it is. Is it maroon? Texas? It's
maroon, burgundy, whatever the hell you want to call it.
There's nothing in there. There's no like Gig'em or Howdy or the Yell Leaders or that dog Reveille or the Bonfire, the 12th Man. There's so much shit, so much tradition surrounding Texas A&M, particularly with their football program. Just like a lot of traditions, there's nothing to it. It's just like this big, I don't know, looks like a platelet. So
this is another one where I just don't understand. Like, is this Texas A&M trying to get like students? What are they promoting? It doesn't make sense. But like, then so they're going to Vegas and they're going to promote to like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's more so for the TV audience, but I think
that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're promoting the university itself. It's not like they're running any kind of, to your point, Spider, like maybe doing a charity thing or something else. That this is just, blatant advertising in a good way. I like it. I mean, but if my alma mater had that and it didn't include something, like, do you guys not feel like there's something missing? Like anything other than in the TAM and the color, that's it, right? Or am I crazy?
No, I agree in a way, but like also, I don't know. I feel like a lot of that stuff you said, if they added on there, just kind of make it like a little tacky and gimmicky. Like it is clean, but that also kind of makes it boring.
Yeah.
I think they could have used the same like logos and whatnot, but like the paint scheme itself is just solid maroon. Like if they did some designs or some gradient maybe or something else, like that could be a little bit more appealing. It just looks so basic. But then again, I don't mean to kind of dump on them. I feel like a lot of the Stuart Haas, like the overstock schemes, a lot of them are very, very blatant, simple. You know what you're kind of getting.
They also run that shake and bake thing, right? I mean,
that's true. That's true. I have
fun.
to. Yeah.
They've been more fun, particularly with some of the stuff they've been doing on social. I've loved it. This isn't a dig on Stuart Haas, I don't think. I'm just saying that. I don't know if it was a Miami car and they didn't have the king, or maybe if it was a golden car for Notre Dame, but they also would have to have maybe a leprechaun somewhere.
I think
on this fucking thing.
From here, it's on the driver. Also, a Notre Dame car would be sick.
I was just about
imagine
to say,
like
Notre
a
Dame
chrome
car would be disgusting.
Gold chrome.
I think that would be an awful scheme.
No. If they use the same design tactics with this scheme for the Notre Dame one, that would be sick.
Gold would be your main color?
The whole entire car, shiny gold, chrome gold, and maybe even no logos.
That would be repulsive. And I like Notre Dame, just like colors and jerseys, but I think that'd be an ugly car. It would be
let's
sick.
say it's the blue and maize. of Michigan.
I think there have been other
be cool.
sports teams that have done it, and they've executed well.
Yeah.
But this one, just for whatever reason, seems boring. I think it's going to need some. It's going to be on the driver to spice it up a little bit. So maybe Chase Briscoe goes out there with a giant cowboy hat, and he's in a all white yell leader style fire suit. Maybe
right.
he's got the revolvers going. Maybe he's walking. What's the dog's name? Reveille. Maybe he's walking Reveille down pit road. I don't know, but I think those guys could really add some flair.
They should
always
do like week one of college football, whatever race is that weekend. It's just every car is sponsored by a school.
That would be sick.
That'd be awesome.
All the SEC schools should start getting involved.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think, and if you want people to tune in to watch the Ohio State car race against the Oregon car, you know, or, Ohio State Michigan or something. That was just a great game this weekend. I don't know. I thought they could have done more. Now a Notre Dame thing, I'm torn on it. Like, I don't know, like a shiny gold.
That would look kind of gross, Quigs. You're right.
Probably.
I think you could do a Notre Dame car in a cool way, but I think if
All
you're
right.
going just
Four Horsemen, man?
basically trying to remake their helmet, I don't know if
Chrome
that's
dome
the way
for
to
the
do it.
driver's helmet, at least.
Yes, pure gold helmet.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Yeah, instead of the Four Horsemen, the Four Dark Horsemen on the Mustang Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Bubba Wallace in a Bama car would be fire. He's from Alabama. He's probably well, actually, is he a Tennessee fan?
Yeah.
I feel like he's
he
a
is.
Tennessee fan for
Yeah, I
some
think he
reason.
is.
So
I mean, Byron runs the Liberty car all the time.
that's true.
Yeah. He went there, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Big time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he studies there, but I think he also did some online classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, anyway. Oh, and Chase's wife was doing, I think, pretty poorly. She was in and out of the emergency room since she had the twins, but from what I understand, she's out of the hospital now. So very happy to hear from them, and I hope that they continue to stay happy and healthy. This had hit last night. We're recording on Tuesday morning, or Tuesday afternoon, excuse me. NASCAR has been made aware of an ongoing scandal going on revolving around an engineer selling information to a rival organization, per the Associated Press, the AP Newswire. The main point spoken on by executives is that a team without any cars in the playoffs paid a JGR engineer that is in a contract year for setup information. NASCAR says it cannot do anything about the situation until a lawsuit is filed, but also acknowledged to AP that it has heard that one team with no car in the playoffs paid the engineer in cash for exchange for setup information. This is some listen, NASCAR is an onion. We talk about different shit every week. This is espionage, man. This is the spy game going on here. I'm gonna go to Moonhead first. Does this happen a lot, Moon? This is the first time I've heard about this. Is this something that you've seen before? What do you think about this shit?
Years ago, there was a dude who stole a sway bar from Roush or something and got himself in all sorts of trouble. But this is the first time I think that like paperwork or setup sheets have publicly, I'm sure that, you know, behind the scenes people get fired and get mad and go hand over setup sheets and stuff. But this is the first time I've seen it like blow up like this for something this specific. It's not really hard to figure out who's involved here. I think Richmond kind of makes a lot more sense now. And some of the remarks we heard from Ty Gibbs after Richmond really makes sense now. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if there's like legal proceedings, because NASCAR said until then they can't really do anything about it.
And he was like, RCR, when did they get fast?
Yeah.
How did they get fast? Like, so the fingers are being pointed at RCR and Front Row right now. The only, you know, because they don't have people in the playoffs and they've gotten incrementally better. So I'm intrigued. I love the spy game. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I don't know. NASCAR has a bunch of other stuff that it needs to address, but to also be able to, I don't know, defer some of the internal stuff by going after some guy who's been doing some shady shit on the side. I'm assuming that it's an immediate firing on behalf of Joe Gibbs. Just fucking shoots that guy out like a cannon, and then it might unfortunately ruin his reputation going forward because he's known as a secret agent or whatever the hell you want to call him. Let's get to the race this weekend. It's brought to you by NASCAR. Before we get to talking about last week's race, or before we talk about Vegas coming up, we just want to remind you, Homestead Miami is a week after Vegas. We're going to be there, and we're very excited about it. NASCAR Homestead Miami offers a one-of-a-kind racing experience. The racetrack is located between the vibrancy of South Beach and the calm of the Keys. Okay. Drivers will be leaving it all out on the track October 26th and 27th as they compete to make it into the Championship 4 for a chance to win the NASCAR Cup Series Championship in Phoenix. Witness the best drivers in motorsports battle it out on this 1.5-mile oval track featuring 18 to 20 degree variable banking designed to deliver high-speed action and unpredictable finishes. So purchase your tickets today for back-to-back days of thrilling NASCAR action in the Florida sunshine at Homestead Miami Speedway. And if you are down there, please stop Spider and I to say hello, and we are happy to do it. So that's it. So Miami is up on the horizon. But what do we think about the Roval? This race got very low scores on that Gluck thing that I mention every week. I think it didn't get out of the 50s. Got out of like 56% of the people, last time I checked, said that it was a good race. So, again, I tend to disagree with that thing because I felt like there was a lot going on, particularly all weekend. There were no trucks. They're not back until the 26th. But we had another controversy, and this one was in the Xfinity race. It was surrounding Parker Kligerman, who's got fucked out of a win when they had thrown a caution, but the white flag was waving, and so it was, it actually was thrown when the light went on about 2 feet before he had reached the start-finish line. And then on the restart, Sam Mayer came in and wins his way into the round of 8 instead. So it was a very, very exciting race. There was some controversy at the end, because NASCAR took 16 seconds to throw the caution. And they said they weren't privy to all the footage. And then the footage that they did become privy to, they had to confirm before they had thrown a yellow. So people are going to be talking about that a shitload, including us, when we talk to Parker in just a couple of seconds. But we go right to Sunday. Shane Van Cheeseburger had swept the polls this weekend. He started number 1 in Xfinity. He started number 1 inside the Cup Series race. But he didn't finish that well. He finished P3 in Xfinity, which is pretty good. I shouldn't say that well. And P7 in Cup thanks to Carson Hocevar. But the son of a bitch always does something impressive every week. Not that P3 and P7 in both polls isn't impressive, but he also kicked a home run, his first ever to bat in Corey LaJoie's kickball tournament. Son of a fucking bitch. I spoke to Danielle Trotta about it. She was like, yeah, this guy is an absolutely amazing guy. So he can't lose. He just can't fucking lose. Otherwise, early mechanical problems for Corey LaJoie on lap 5. He finishes dead last, except for Bowman, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Since his move to Rick Ware, Corey has finished 15 at Kansas, 18 at Talladega, and 38th at the Roval. And then Justin Haley in that same time frame has wheeled the 7 to a P33 at Kansas after that miscommunication with his spotter, P7 at Talladega, and P36 at the Roval. My point that I'm making here is there hasn't been that much differentiation between these two gentlemen since they had swapped cars. I was looking for something really big on either side that we just haven't gotten yet. Reddick stayed out, won Stage 1. There was no cautions in Stage 1. Briscoe was the first driver eliminated for the damaged vehicle, on lap 43. Bowman won Stage 2. That's when we first got to see Michael Jordan in the box. Is that his wife? He's married, right? That girl?
I don't think he's married.
Yeah, I don't know.
That might have been Denny's old lady.
Was
I don't
it?
know. Yeah, it might have been. I don't know. I was trying to figure it out too.
I don't think it was Denny's girlfriend.
Oh, no, he has been married since 2013.
Oh, wow.
After the race, he was walking with Denny's wife on pit
Okay,
road.
that's the lady I saw.
Yeah.
She caught my eye.
Up in
He's
the
married
box, there
to
was
a
some girl.
Cuban model.
I didn't see the shot of who he was with, but I did see him there throughout the whole race, which I liked. And I know people have been critical of him for leaving early and whatnot. He stayed. Reddick got in. I liked that.
And they seemed like they were celebrating together, like they were all in. It changes the complexion of a race, doesn't it, Spider? When we're walking down pit row and all of a sudden we see that MJ's up on the box?
Absolutely. He easily could have left after Reddick got, kind of went up in the air and got into Denny there. But instead, he rode it out and stayed till the end. And I think that's a testament to his commitment to the sport, which is super encouraging.
Yeah, because it's tough for him to get in and out. I can't think of a better name outside of like a presidential candidate that can show up to a track, and Michael Jordan does it pretty seamlessly. When Trump showed up at Charlotte, part of the track had shut down, like all that stuff to get him in and out. But Michael Jordan, you would think, would command some high-powered security. He does move around the track a lot easier than he would be able to move around like the United Center or just go see an NBA game. it's pretty impressive the way that NASCAR takes care of it, and it's pretty impressive every time you see that son of a bitch there. Ty Gibbs had some transmission issues. He goes to the garage in lap 56. Austin Dillon loses a tire. Someone's getting fined. We're taping on Tuesday, so somebody, Swanee or somebody is going to get fined for that shit. And with Larson well out in front, it became the Tyler Reddick show. Tyler Reddick battling back to secure his spot in the round of 8 was the real. I thought, what did you think about NBC this week? How did you think that they did with pivoting to another just blowout race where, Larson was just going to take everything and no one's going to catch him, to making it relatively intriguing with their, with the playoff banter and giving you like an idea. Particularly, they gave a lot of screen time to Tyler Reddick and his valiant effort battling back from, problems with his car and shit like that. I thought it was a very enjoyable race to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's what playoffs is. Even if, it's a dominant winner or the guy's, half a lap ahead, or it's not even a playoff driver leading, the beauty of playoffs is there's still like races within the race happening, and that makes for such an enjoyable thing all the way up till the finish. You had it in the Xfinity race with Parker Kligerman, Sam Mayer, and then you have it in the Cup race with Tyler Reddick scrambling to get in there at the end. And that's before the drama with Bowman went down. So, he didn't know that he was going to, have that, and he had to leave it all out on the track, and we got to see him go balls to the wall for the remainder of the race, which I thought was awesome. And like I said, it's a race within a race. There's more than just the end result, which is the beauty of playoffs. I know a lot of times all I'm after is outright winners, but the playoffs adds another layer of, excitement to watch for.
Is he the easiest guy in NASCAR to root for, Tyler Reddick?
He's up there.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of them. I think he has, everything about him is relatively likable. He's a clean driver. He's got good sponsorships on his car. He races for a good team. Like, everything about him, his personality is likable. He doesn't cause issues. He's relatively, safe to get behind, and I don't know. I think he's easy to root for. He's got obviously the Michael Jordan ties, everything together, and not to mention probably some of the best skill set. I think he's easily one of the most likable or easy to root for drivers.
Right? I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. We tell people all the time, pick a driver, and I normally tell them maybe to gravitate towards somebody like Ross or something, but I think I'm done with that shit. I think I'm going to tell everyone to get on the Reddick train. It just, everything about him, I think, is like, particularly when he got out of the car, Denny ran over and Michael ran over, and they were like, son of a bitch, like they were messing his hair and stuff like that. It was fun to watch. I just think he has a good personality. And he's willing to get hit in the face with pie. He's a good family man.
Great merch.
Yeah, great merch. Yeah.
We should sit down one day and make just like a skill plus personality, likability, power ranking.
Yeah.
Of just
maybe that's our next draft.
Yeah.
That'd be a good ranking to have. Because that'd be a good list of who, if you don't watch NASCAR, who to be a fan of.
Right, because the most skilled drivers in NASCAR sometimes are absolute wet blankets.
Yeah.
They're just not fun to fucking follow. And, they don't go out and do anything, or sometimes they're not that open to, I don't know, the media. Tyler does the media car washes just about every week. We could have him on right now, I think. But anyway, yeah, so congratulations to him. So Tyler Reddick into the round of 8. Larson's 6th victory of the season, 29th of his career. I think I put 39 on the rundown. Just put him past Carl Edwards. He said afterwards, everyone knows I don't use the sim. I didn't know that about him. I didn't know that he wasn't a big simulator guy. He was like, but I was in it all week before the Roval. So I don't know, maybe there's something to it. You think he's not a sim guy? He's just kind of flexing? I
think he had a bad experience on a simulator and might be reluctant to get on one. I could understand that. I mean,
yeah. I hear you. Get a little skittish with that. I don't think we'll clip that one out, but I love it. Bowman disqualified. Man, it caught everybody. A personal story. My wife loves Joey Logano. And so she's like, man, I want Joey to get in. I was like, Annie, if you want Joey to get in, who don't you want to get in? This is during the race. And she was like, I don't know, maybe Chase or Bowman. And then Joey is out of the playoffs for an hour or so, and then he gets in. So maybe it was my wife's fault. She fucking put the Maloikia on Bowman. Who do you feel? Do you feel happier for Logano or sadder for Alex Bowman? Alex Bowman's car was underweight beyond the threshold. They give you a little bit of a mercy here, around 17 pounds. So we know that it was at least overweight more than 17 pounds, but it could be a lot more than that. We just don't know yet as of Tuesday. We do know that Hendrick is not going to appeal the decision to say that he had an underweight car and he was disqualified from the race and therefore disqualified from the rest of the playoffs. Who do you feel bad for? Do you feel bad for Bowman? Or do you feel great for fucking Logano?
I almost feel the people I feel most bad for are like his fans, to be honest.
Yeah.
As much as I've kind of ragged on them before on this show, I do think they are super quick to defend him. But this is one you really can't defend, especially when the team says they're not going to appeal it. That to me is just like, you got us. Or I don't know what the mindset is at Hendrick, if they're admitting fault or acknowledging their shortcomings, or if this is just them saying, hey, we want to prepare our 3 remaining cars to the fullest potential and that be the main focus as opposed to some dispute or appeal. I just think it sucks for the fans that were led to believe that he was still alive and then come to find out like an hour or so after they went off the air that wasn't the case. At the same time, I don't know. Part of me feels like the fault is on the crew. It sounds like NASCAR gave them every opportunity to get within the weight boundaries. They allowed them to make a full pit stop and put in fuel, from what I understand and saw online, which I think is pretty reasonable. And they also said that the 48 car was the only one of the playoff cars that had this issue, or of the ones they tested for that matter. So it's kind of hard to defend the 48. I saw people pointing to certain instances on track where there was contact and maybe debris or pieces of Bowman's car fell off. People were circling it in the screenshots, but I mean 17 pounds worth. And I think from my limited knowledge, I'll let Moonhead speak to this, I'm pretty sure NASCAR is like hard and fast about it. Okay, even if your car is underweight, you better be responsible. You're still responsible. You can't just have, nothing to show for those 20 pounds of car. Like, where did that go? That's dangerous in itself. So yeah, I don't think there's really anything that can be done here, unfortunately. I'm more concerned, I guess. My biggest take out of all this is that we have to now worry about Joey Logano. I think that he's going to be kind of a threat, to be honest. Like, he got in at the 11th hour now, and I think he's a real threat to win.
He threw on the shades, Spider, as soon as he got out of the car. And I was like, is he upset? Not covering up tears necessarily. I don't know why, but he threw on the shades. Maybe he does it all the time. Maybe it was just simply sunny. But he had said, if that didn't happen in Richmond, he mentioned Richmond, and inadvertently Austin Dillon twice during the post race. He was gutted because he ran a very good race, did almost everything that he needed to do during that race. So he was very gutted. So then to go on that emotional roller coaster, to be out and then be back in, but maybe they're going to appeal, so I might be out again on Wednesday. I've never seen anything like that before. Hendrick did a very good job by saying they're not going to appeal. They let Joey off the hook because it would have been 2 sleepless nights.
Which, do we not think that's crazy that they're not appealing it?
Fucking nuts.
I think any other driver on that team gets an appeal, and they're not giving one. And there's like they probably won't win, whatever, but there's at least like things and aspects that they could pull the footage of, look, this fell off his car, blah blah blah. It's the playoffs. I just don't. I think if it's Chase Elliott, I think if it's any of those other guys,
you
they're
think maybe
getting
they had
that appeal.
Maybe they had,
and maybe there's something that I don't know that they're like behind the scenes. They're like, no chance that it'll be embarrassing for us to appeal this, but I don't know.
NASCAR told Rick Hendrick, they said, we'll let Larson get away with the Coke 600 double duty.
Oh, sweetheart deal.
But you owe us one in the future, Rick Hendrick.
Right.
And this was the one that they came down and said, Rick, you are not appealing this. Our call stands.
Hendrick's won a lot of appeals in the past.
They win them all.
Yeah.
I believe they win or not win them all. Moonhead, I'm going to let you go in 2 seconds. I see you chomping at the bit. Or at least they get stuff kind of reduced a little bit. Like they pull them back a little. The reduced sentences. So this was their official thing. NASCAR allows a clear margin to account for the difference in pre- and post-race weight. After a thorough review by our team and the sanctioning body, we simply did not give ourselves enough margin to meet post-race requirement. Although unintentional, the infraction was avoidable. We were extremely disappointed to lose a playoff spot under these circumstances and apologize to our fans and partners. And Jeff Gordon went on to say he was embarrassed by the whole thing. So what do you think? What do you think here, Moonhead?
So I think it's one of two things. I think they either didn't appeal because they got caught straight up doing something they shouldn't have, and they don't want, maybe they got away with it on 3 of the 4 cars, and they don't want to, bring any more attention to it. Or I honestly, at first, I saw the video of him hitting the turtles and shit flying off the car, and I thought, easy appeal.
Yeah.
But then you got to think NASCAR's really, really, really strict on weight flying off the cars because that's really dangerous. So I almost think maybe if they weren't trying something, but the weight just wasn't secured properly and they hit the turtles and it flew off, yeah, that might be why they were underweight, and it may not have been some big cheating thing, but they almost could be setting themselves up for, on top of losing their playoff spot, monetary fines, suspensions, and all sorts of stuff right now when, yes, Bowman's out of the playoffs, but having him and having good personnel at the track is still beneficial for them in owner points, and they could still finish as good as 5th in the points, and that's a lot of money. So I think it was more of just okay, is it really worth fighting this, or could we get ourselves in more trouble? Whether it was them trying to get one over on NASCAR and 3 of them getting away with it and Bowman getting caught, or it was just an honest mistake with the weight flying off, which they could make the case that that's the track's fault because, I don't know if y'all saw the videos of people hit, even when they fixed them. it was still a violent transition. Bowman, he all 4 tires were off the ground. Suarez on the backstretch, same thing. So I guess they could have made that case, but there was some sort of underlying issue there that made them think, okay, it's not worth fighting.
And I don't want somebody going through their dirty laundry right now.
Right, exactly. And they've got 3 guys in the playoffs, so they're still sitting good.
Yeah, because they'd have to open up their books. And I agree. I think they were dead to rights. That's why they're not appealing. It's the only reason not to. But I also see a little bit of credence with what Quiggs is saying. Not necessarily with Chase, but if it was Kyle Larson and there was a video of Rick Hendrick pouring tungsten into his fucking water bottle, I would think they would still fucking appeal that thing. Do you know what I mean? I think there is a little bit of weight that maybe the worst of the 4 drivers got busted. So cut that fucking guy loose before they come for the rest of us type thing, perhaps. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. But either way, Joey's in.
Joey's in.
Connecticut fucking in the house. And Spider, bet against him. I don't know. Can you bet against him to go to the final? We're going to ask for your final 4 picks. Joey makes the final 4 every even year. That's the big thing. He won the 22, 1 and 22. But holy shit, that was something else. Even the guys who do It's a Teardown with Gluck and Bianchi, those 2 insiders, the news came across while they were recording the Teardown. This is huge fucking news, I think. But and I feel terrible for Alex Bowman. This guy is rumored to basically be Corey LaJoie next year, to go from being the promised land and then kind of get knocked back into the 7 car, and all he did was go to Hendrick and say, "What the fuck's going on?" And they said, "No, it's not going to happen." Then he plays 7 Nation Army as his walkout song just to fuck with the fact that he was supposed to be in the 7. Then, he wins when he had to win to get into the playoffs in Chicago. Then he's been, I think, the 4th most point getter throughout this playoffs. So he's been driving his dick off. Gave us the hood. We just hung the hood last week. Stupid place we hung it, but whatever. I feel terrible for Bowman. As much as I feel, happy for Joey, and I think he's going to be dangerous going forwards. Fucking just wild. Would you guys have liked an all Hendrick final? Because I had seen on social media, as soon as the race ended, NASCAR fixed it, so all 4 Hendrick cars are going to the final 8. That's a tweet that I'd seen. Multiple people then liking it. Oh yeah, and then the Bowman news comes out. NASCAR fixed it because they didn't want all 4 of those guys in there. You know what I mean? There's conspiracy fucking guys There's so many tinfoil hats. And I thought about it, and all Hendrick Final Four, we spoke about having 18-plus winners perhaps this season and how good it is to maybe spread the wealth. Would you guys have liked that? Would that have been an intriguing storyline for you, Spider, to see all 4 of those one-shop guys, one manufacturer running in Phoenix?
Yes and no. Yes, because, I mean, I've been long of the opinion that a Hendrick Motorsport driver was going to win the championship this year. I said it in my blog. I said it on this show early in the season this year. That was one of my main predictions. I said with a healthy Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman that they would be even better. And they had both Byron and Larson in the championship for last year. So, I don't know. I wouldn't, from that perspective, I would have liked to see what I predicted become true. I'm not saying, I didn't say all 4 would make the championship 4, but anyways, I don't think it would be good for the sport. I think there needs to be some manufacturer competitiveness in the championship as well as teams. I don't think it should all be dominated by the same team. I think if they could get it to be that, like, good for them. But then again, I think you're going to hear those Twitter critics, and the criticism only gets louder and louder in terms of, is this fixed, is Hendrick getting preferential treatment, etc., which is not true, but inevitable will be the case if something like that happened.
Yeah, I think it probably would have caused more problems than it solved. I thought it would have been intriguing to see those guys, teammates, and obviously from the same manufacturer, kind of racing for
the team would have went out the window.
Yeah,
it would have been. I mean, from that perspective,
I guess it kind of goes out anyway.
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool.
That was kind of my first thought. Was like, oh yeah, they'll all be like fighting for their own lives, but you're gonna do that in the championship anyway, kind of.
Right.
And I guess they don't want that dynastic, monopolistic headline of Hendrick, being the championship 4 or the championship 4 all being Hendrick and Chevy. So right now, as we get down to the championship 8. All manufacturers are represented, right? 2 Fords. I can't even do math right now, to be quite honest with you. But Ford, Toyota, and Chevy are all represented in the Championship 8, and we're going to move forward. So with that, let's put a bow on what had happened this weekend, and I don't think there's anybody better to do it than to the gentleman we had mentioned at the start of the show, Parker Kligerman. And that's we're about to go 3-wide with Parker Kligerman. That's brought to you by Vanderhagen. Make the switch from cartridge razor to safety razor today with Vanderhagen. Safety razors allow you to get a closer, more comfortable shave, but the use of one-blade razors help prevent nicks and cuts while making your skin feel smoother than ever. And the best part, these blades cost as little as $1 a piece and last anywhere from 3 to 5 shaves. This will save you thousands of dollars over the years compared to the cost of cartridge razors. The blades are ice-tempered, stainless steel blades from Germany that are sharp enough to give you the perfect shave. So if you're ready to step up your shaving game, get the smoothest, closest shave with our single blade and shave butter combo. Say goodbye to nicks and irritation, and hello to a shave that's almost too smooth to handle. Get a shave so smooth, it should come with a warning, perfectly close, incredibly soft. This is how real men shave. So check out your local Target and Walmart to get yourself a Vanderhagen safety razor today. And if you're serious about your grooming game, hit the follow button on @Vanderhagen. Stay in the loop with the latest shaving tips, product drops, exclusive giveaways. Whether you're mastering the art of the close shave or just looking to keep it fresh, their Instagram is where the best men's grooming comes to life. So join the community, level up your shave, and keep your style sharp with Vanderhagen. And again, you can get those at any Target or Walmart. And with that, let's talk to Parker Kligerman. All right, so as promised, Parker, how you doing, my man?
Good, bud.
No, you're not. You're not fucking good. You're not good.
All right. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I am disappointed. I've been sad at times. I've been angry at times, as you'd understand. To come that close to something so big as what we were pulling off there the other day at the Roval. I mean, and here's the thing that hurts me. For everyone out there who's maybe followed my journey a little bit, my first Xfinity start was back in 2009. It's been over 15 years I've been trying to win one of these damn things. And, to get back full time and have accomplished everything with this race team except win a race, right? And for about 30 seconds, I thought I had done it. So I had the emotion. I had the elation. I felt what it would feel like because I never knew. People would ask me like, oh, when you get that win, which was nice of them to say when, what is it going to feel like? And I was like, I don't know. I can't tell you. I haven't done it yet. But for 30 seconds, I can tell you I felt it. And It was incredible. But then, it kind of then we hadn't. and we had to refocus. But yeah, it's been a tough couple days. It's just, to put on a performance like we did and have it not come together there. It just hurts, but that's racing.
I will tell you, not to make this about me, but when you said for 30 seconds it felt incredible, it's my wife said to me the day after we got married. Just so you know, that was one of our
Don't worry, I
things.
have plenty of exes who probably felt the same way.
By the way, I'm proud to say that we are doing this interview with two of the prides of Connecticut.
That's
one
right.
Of them obviously being Parker, and the other one being Spider. So, two hometown boys. What do you got, Spider?
Yeah, well, actually, I know you got a lot of irons in the fire, if you will. Obviously, a driver. We see you on TV. You have a podcast with a beautiful set we see behind you, as well as a part owner in Lime Rock Park. I know NASCAR Trucks announced they would be racing there next year. What can we expect? And talk about your involvement there, given the pride of Connecticut for both of us. So
appreciate it, bud. Yeah, I know. There's not many of us. Well, it's funny. Especially when I first got into NASCAR, it was myself and Joey Logano, and now we've got Priest and Alfredo and yourself involved. So we're taking over slowly but surely.
Right.
The great state of Connecticut will become, the preeminent spot for to be involved in NASCAR, I hope. But it's really cool that this truck race is coming to Lime Rock. It was a couple years ago I got invited into the ownership group. I do like to say, though, that I own basically a blade of grass. So don't think I have a lot of sway. But when I did get involved, the first thing I said to them literally on the first day was, have you guys thought about a NASCAR race here? And they were like, we'd love to. Do you, how would we make that happen? I was like, I'll hit up Ben Kennedy. So that's how it started, with a text. And it started, from there, it went to meetings and kind of sort of just try to push the ball down the road a little bit here and there and try to get people connected. And eventually the leadership team ran with it, NASCAR and them connected, and it came together, and it's going to be so cool. I think it will be the biggest event in Lime Rock history. Already, just from the outpouring of support, all we've seen on social media, I think for a lot of reasons that will come true, and it will be the biggest race in Connecticut, the biggest motorsport event, and one of the biggest sporting events in Connecticut. And we don't have a lot of professional sports here in Connecticut, so we all kind of gravitate either to New York City, I'm a Giants fan, or to people gravitate to Boston sports, right? But for us, to have something this big coming to Connecticut, I think is really cool. And for Lime Rock, it's just a historic, beautiful racetrack. When you hang out up there, they call it Lime Rock Park because it feels like a park that there happens to be a racetrack. And it's just got so much history, and I think it's going to be such a cool event. And I can't wait to see it all happen and race in it, hopefully, fingers crossed, and maybe I can go get a win there. It's the first place I ever saw a race car. It's the first place I drove a race car, first place I won one, so it means a lot to me.
that is special. I was going to ask you about your interest in racing, or if we could expect that, but I guess what can we expect for 2025? I know you said you're stepping away from full-time driving. Are there any tracks or opportunities that you have circled that you're going to try to get back in for a part-time race, or is that something that maybe will come in years future?
Yeah, I definitely want to. I got to scratch that itch. Us race car drivers, we can't ever just stop cold turkey. It's impossible. It's too intoxicating to be a professional race car driver. Obviously stopping the full-time side of it for me was a definite personal decision that boiled down to just the amount of sacrifice, right, that you have to make to be at this level and to try to even get to the next level. And just personally for me, the amount of time spent in North Carolina versus up here, separate from my family and my girlfriend and everyone, and just to get to the next step was going to take even more sacrifice. And I think it kind of became a decision I had to make eventually, and sort of it was tough, but I'm definitely at peace with it. I'd love to race a little bit. What does that mean? I don't know if it's 5 races here or there. I do want to do the Rolex 24 at Daytona. I feel very close to making that happen, which would be super cool. That's a bucket list item for me to go do some sports car endurance racing. And then obviously we'll see on the TV side and what that all looks like. Nothing's done, but I hope in the next couple months, that will be figured out. I think a lot of people thought I had some sort of like grand master plan. I can assure you I didn't. Call that stupid, whatever. I just felt compelled to make this change. And for the first time in my life, I started go-karting 22 years ago. I'm going to turn off that switch that is about racing and full-time and being that's my main career, my occupation. And suddenly, for the first time in my life, not have that. And I really don't even know what that looks like, but I do think personally, and just deep down, I want to at least drive a little bit. I'd love to chase some trophies and do it in a fun and sort of, I wouldn't say relaxed, but it is a little bit more relaxed doing the part-time thing, knowing you just have to show up there and try to go win a race.
You had said that to stop racing was a personal decision, and we'll respect that, obviously. But I do have to ask, is the fact that you're good at other things, like Martin Truex Jr. can't step out of a car and step into anything other than a fishing boat. I don't think Martin would be very good with a mic in front of his face. And that's not a dig on him. He'd be the first person to tell you that. Doesn't have the bandwidth nor desire to do it. But you have your fingers in a lot of pots. And I think, going back to this weekend's race, the whole race community was shattered for you. And that may make it feel a little bit better, but everyone who's talking about it on any one of these stupid podcasts like this one or anything, everyone's like the same thing. If this happened to Austin Hill, we'd be laughing about it perhaps, and that's no dig on Austin, but you know what I mean? So the fact that you do have options, that you're good at other stuff other than, I've spoke to some of your, peers. What would you be doing if you weren't driving a race car? They're like, it's all I'm good at. I'm just very good at going fast, But you seem like, did that make your job a little bit easier because you're excited to do other stuff that you're good at?
Yeah, I think so. To have had done the TV thing while driving for the last, 8 or 9 years, I think that obviously made me more comfortable to take the leap, right? And it's still scary, though. I won't lie. Like, I don't know if I'm prepared for what this feels like come Phoenix to suddenly turn this off. And even when I wasn't full-time, every day I was working towards trying to be full-time. And that's what I mean when I said not pursuing full-time, because it was, even if I wasn't, I was working in, trying to find the marketing partners or to get an opportunity to ride, or even with the 48, I was beating their door down for months trying to get a chance with them. It's just like you're always working on it. And so I don't really know like what this looks like on the other side, but definitely because of my experience in the broadcast side and all the new partners that are coming in, I felt at least comfortable in saying, hey, if there's opportunities out there, I feel like I would be in those discussions, and I have been, and it's been very flattering to be in those discussions. And I know what you mean by race car drivers who are so singular focused, because that's what it takes, to be honest. Like to do this at this level, whether it's Xfinity Series or Cup, you have to be all in. Like it's so hard and it's so time consuming. I tell people racing the Xfinity Series is probably a 6-day-a-week job, because you do get Sundays off here and there, although I then fill it with broadcasts the second half. Racing Cup's an 8.5-day-a-week job. Like there's not enough time in the day. So you literally can't do anything else. And I do have other things I'm excited about that I want to go pursue in the content world. I've got a ton of ideas and things that we're already working on that I think are gonna be really cool. And I've always wanted to do. I did do a car show for years and been involved in the automotive world. I just haven't had the time to do that. So I want to go do some of that stuff. I just want to do cool shit, have fun, and, hopefully entertain people and educate at the same time. And if I can do that, I'd be the happiest person in the world. And for me, though, no matter what, I want to be connected to motorsports. I want to be involved in motorsports in some fashion or form for as long as I live on this earth, because it's the greatest sport in the world to me. I just love race cars, man.
Yeah, I want to be there for the rest of the time. And I want to clear that up too. That's not a dig on these drivers, because over 99% of the population can't do what they do very well, So the fact that Tyler Reddick cannot throw a baseball, as we saw when he threw out the first pitch in Chicago.
Yep.
I could never wheel something that tight, but I could probably throw a fucking BB tomorrow off the mound,
So, dude, I mean, here's the thing. I just had this. I did a deal in New York the other day for NASCAR, and I was trying to explain to people. I was like, of all the sports, it's really hard to explain to people how hard it is to drive race cars. And I saw that thing that came out where like 34% of these people that were polled believed that of all the professional sports, the one they could do was compete or do a competitive lap of a NASCAR track. And I was like, they don't even understand. Like they can't conceptualize how difficult this is, because everyone drives cars. You think, oh, I drive a car on the road. How hard can it be? It's not even close to the same. And I always tell people, you're using 1% of your car's ability. Even when you go off an off ramp and you think, wow, I really pushed it, maybe you're at 2%. We run at 101% every corner of every lap. And we balance these big, massive, water buffaloes, I call them sometimes, on the edge of disaster at 200 miles an hour. And that's just a skill set that is really, really difficult to obtain. It's really difficult to keep at a high level. And, the ones who do it great are good at it and great at it because of talent and their work ethic and the amount of effort that goes into trying to do something like this. But no, there's nothing easy about driving race cars. Trust me. If it was, I maybe would have a lot more trophies. So that'd be wonderful. I wish if it was easier for me, that'd be great, but it's just not.
What can we?
Okay,
So-
sorry, Spider.
I was going to say, what can we expect for the rest of the year now that obviously on the outside looking in from the playoffs, unfortunately, we were all pulling for you there at the end. But does that change the way you race now? You might be able to take more aggressive chances or go balls to the wall for that win or less conservative?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much more balls to the wall you can be than those last 10 laps this weekend for me.
That's true.
Let me, just to give you some insight to what happened there. We were probably a top 5 speed car, maybe top 10. But when we got to the lead with like 6 to go, I think I came on the radio and I said, "Hey, is Sam in a must-win position?" They're like, "Yup." I'm like, "All right, this is a deathmatch battle royale. Like, here we go." And I knew that he had the fastest car. He was by far the fastest last year. He was fastest this year. He was incredibly quick. And I was going down the straightaway and I literally said to myself, "Parker, you've got to find more. I don't know where, but you've got to find it." And then he made that lunge to the inside in the final chicane. I got back by him. And from that moment onwards, I'll be honest, it was a blur. Like, I was in the zone and started to click corners and laps and just disappeared into another world that I couldn't even tell you what I was doing in that race car. But suddenly I started to hear, he's 5 car lengths back. He's 7 car lengths back. He's 10 car lengths back. And I'm like, holy shit, we're going to do this. This is working. Like, I'm pulling away. And, that was every risk I could take, every braking zone, every hit of a curb was just max attack as much as I could give. And, touching the wall on the exits of 1 and 2 and 7 and just literally putting everything on the line. So I don't know how to be any more aggressive than that. I think for us, though, winning a race, these next 2, Vegas and Homestead, are huge opportunities for us. 2 great tracks for me and our race team. Martinsville have had to do a lot of work, but if there was any poetic justice, that's probably the one we'll win. And Phoenix is one that we've done decent at. So I think, when you get knocked out like this, yes, it opens up the idea of like, you don't have to focus on points, but it is weird. Like last year, I remember when we got knocked out of the playoffs, the intensity level went so far down, it was almost hard to be motivated. This time, being as close as we were and having felt it, I'm as motivated as ever. But and knowing it's the last time I'll be doing this full time, I really, really want to cap it off with a win badly. So we'll do whatever it takes. I don't know what that is, but I really want that win. And obviously, we can finish 5th in points, which would be huge. We finished 10th last year. If we can improve all the way to 5th, that'd be massive and a hell of a way to cap off a long career.
Before you got fucked out of the win, that's what I just said. At what point did you throw?
Hey, you said it, not me. You said it.
Yeah, that was Large's voice. At what point did you throw the 18 pounds out of your window in order to lighten the car? Because we didn't see it on. I didn't see it on either one. Saw a little bit on Bowman, but not enough. How do you think he's feeling today? Like, we're talking about the rush of emotions throughout this podcast with Joey. Joey, you're out. Joey, you're in. They may appeal, so you may be out again. It winds up they're not appealing, you're in. Like, that's a roller coaster, right? We talk about Chase Briscoe this season. Chase, you don't have a seat. You're pregnant with twins. You got a seat. Like we talk about roller coasters and emotions. So can you talk to me about what you think these other guys are feeling, after what was a very, very, I thought was a great race weekend? Yeah, I think, for Alex, obviously bad weekend to be a 48 car in NASCAR for some reason. I don't know what happened to us. Right. Yeah. Bad weekend to be a 48. Yeah. For him, what I think he's going through, and it's similar to myself in that he put in an excellent performance on Sunday. And, for him, and even the playoffs, he scored the most points coming into this round and had just, upped his game, and that 48 team had upped their game to such a level that they looked like bona fide championship 4 contenders that you maybe wouldn't have thought that mid of this summer, right? Before they won Chicago. So I think his performance is something he can say, look, I did everything. I was as good as I could possibly be. And this is a circumstance that's going to pull him out of it. I felt the same way for me. Like, at the end of the day, I put everything on the line. I performed at a high level. I found more than I ever had before, and circumstance took us out of it. But, it is a team sport, and you make team decisions, and there's so many moving parts to the sport that when you go through something like what he's going through with being, a technical infraction, it hurts. But I'm sure as a team, they can look at 3 times this year that says, hey, Alex, you made a mistake. That's part of the team effort, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have things go wrong, and it's about rallying around each other and finding a way forward. And I'm sure they will in that 48 team. For Logano, man, what a gift. I think he put in a hell of a performance. I mean, they didn't have the speed, but he fought tooth and nail with a car that I don't know if it was ever in a good position, because he was constantly getting hit and spinning the rear tires, and it just a battle royale constantly.
and, put in an effort that would have put them through. You feel like at the level of performance they had, they didn't do it, but now they get back in. And I think that's got to be, a huge sort of like motivator for them that, hey, look, we got this gift back. Let's go make it happen. And he's a dangerous one, man. Like, you put Logano with a chance of the championship 4, history tells us he finds a way to then capitalize on it and go win a championship. So he's a hell of a competitor. And I think that was something that maybe some of the other competitors didn't want to see.
Spider, I hate to double up on questions, but we had just got, through most of the podcast, and one of the toughest things that I had asked the guys to do is nail it down to a championship 4 for the Cup Series. I won't ask you an Xfinity just because you still obviously have a horse in that race, so maybe it wouldn't seem appropriate. Can you nail it down to your final 4 here? Or we're going to put ours on social, so we're not going to put it in the rest of this podcast. We're going to throw ours up on social. We're going to give some picks on the race after this. But can you give me who you think? It's. I had mentioned how I think this is the second most important race in the NASCAR season, because if you win this thing, you have 3 weeks to get ready for Phoenix, and it's not easy finding out who shouldn't be going to the next round. Can you do that? Can you find 4?
Before this, I would have thought Hendrick had a chance at all 4. I can't. So I did a bracket before the playoffs started. I can't remember who I had in there. I do think I had Denny Hamlin as the champ. I do think they, make it through. And he could definitely finally pull it off. It would be poetic because his playoff has been sort of messy in a lot of respects. Right. I think Kyle Larson, you got to put as a favorite. Tyler Reddick in there. So if let me go down, I'd say Larson, Reddick, Denny, Christopher Bell. I don't know if there's any surprises in there, but no, I know that negates what I just said about Logano, but I'm just saying those are probably, to me, the championship 4 for every reason. I don't know how it all shakes out.
That's
but
fucking tough. What do you got, Spider?
No, I mean, I think those are all great picks. I'm interested to see. I do strongly agree with you about Joey Logano, though. It seems like every time he gets in the playoffs or like, in a decent spot. Like, for example, getting through this week, I think now is going to be, as you said, a concern for some of the other drivers that are still in there. But I'm interested to see. We got a bunch of great racing left between not only the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series as playoffs come along. It's just been a splendid season to watch. We've seen so many photo finishes and great races, and now we get to see the playoffs. So. Awesome.
Yeah. This round definitely is the most traditional set of tracks, right? Yeah. We've gone through the craziness of super speedways and road courses being involved. This round being 2.5 and a short track. This is classic NASCAR right here. So, for these teams and drivers, I don't think there's a wild card race in this one. I don't think there's, a place they can say, that mattered more about luck or whatever. Like, this is straight up going to be performance. Like, what performance you can bring to the next 3 weeks will either give you or not give you a chance at a championship for sure.
I'm trying to figure out why you're all smiles even after what had gone on this weekend, and then I just remembered you're a 34-year-old retiree, so fuck you. No longer going to be a full-time driver, Parker Kligerman, but certainly, founded the Money Lap podcast with Landon. Are you going to get to be a little bit more Denny-ish in that podcast? Like, not really give a shit and start to burn some bridges, or do you still have to, play the fence a little bit? I know you guys are, your co-host particularly gets that envelope every week from NASCAR. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, no.
Yes.
He loves that check that arrives each week, apparently. I've said to Landon for like the last 8 or 9 months, I've been like, hey man, you know what the best version of this podcast is? He's like, what? I'm like, when neither of us are driving. Because I was like, to your point, especially, just say things that we're pretty open on there. And I think if people like the comments, and we've grown a lot, like we don't hold back, but it is, when you're not competing anymore and you don't have to think about the ramifications for your team, et cetera, I think it can allow you to be even more open. And yeah, we'll see. I think it's been fun. We enjoy doing it. We record on Wednesdays, but I'm smiling, by the way, because I get to hang out with you guys right here, which is fun. Every time I see you guys, we're always out having a good time at the concerts and the tracks, that sort of thing. Right. I did go out drinking pretty heavily Saturday and Sunday with a bunch of friends because I felt like if I didn't, I'd just be in like a dark room crying. So I had to keep myself occupied a little bit.
It was an absolute pleasure. You'll come on again, right? This wasn't too bad?
Definitely.
Right. So
Let me know.
Parker Kligerman, and by the way, we're a couple of weeks away from the money lap. The safety is off. That's what we should say, in the last one. But I really appreciate
Wait, where's my
time.
check? You guys throw the. Can I get a check?
Large will take
First
care of
next
that
time?
for you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sitting here with two of the stars from Connecticut. I'm feeling bad that I'm only from Brooklyn. Thank you so much, Parker. We'll talk to you soon, and have a great rest of the season. All right, so that was Parker Kligerman, a consummate professional, and I'm telling you, I like watching him and seeing him do the trackside reporting. He's got his finger in a lot of pots. I like the guy a lot. For some reason, he's welcome back anytime. But let's talk about where we're going next. Las Vegas. This is what I'm going to tell you guys right now. Las Vegas is the second most important race of the year behind Phoenix. Do you agree or disagree? Las Vegas is the second most important race of the year behind Phoenix, I think. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you start this playoff and you have 16 drivers, there's always so many that don't belong there, that you can easily wipe off. I'm going to go back and look at our picks on who we didn't think would make it to the final 8, and our picks are all extremely similar with just a couple of differences. I think now that you're down to the final 8, there isn't any fat. There's no fat left in this playoff group. And so if you can win at Vegas and then just spend the next 3 weeks preparing for Phoenix, I think it's the most important thing to do, because I can make an argument for anybody in this final 8 to make it to the final 4. Not as strong argument as some, but I definitely can. So whoever wins, I know this is just common sense. What a fucking great feeling that's going to be, and how relieved that is, and how prepared they're going to be able to be by the time they get to Phoenix. We got Briscoe, Suarez, Cindric, and Bowman out. So here are the final 8. Byron, Larson, Bell, Hamlin, Blaney, Elliott, Reddick, and Logano. What's the weak link there for you guys? Any weak link in there? Anybody who's screaming to you Harrison Burton and they shouldn't make it to the next round? Anybody in that 8? Moonhead, who's the weakest of the 8?
I mean, I don't know if this is really even a great answer, but Logano would probably be that guy for me, just because it took Bowman getting DQ'd for him to make it in. But at the same time, I wouldn't say he's not deserving or not a top 8 car. I mean, he could very well go and win any of the next 3 races. So this is a really competitive top 8. And I'll be honest, when you first started saying that Vegas, it's the most or second most important race of the year, I didn't agree until you put it like that. But this really does. This can make or break somebody's entire playoff run, really, because if they go win Vegas, like you said, they've got 2 weeks to prepare now, or 3 weeks to prepare, however you want to look at it. But a bad run at Vegas, that sets you up for, having to really go put it all out there the next 2 weeks. And this round is the first round we don't have a road course, or we don't have a super speedway. Like, this is 2 straight up mile and a halves, and then Martinsville, which hasn't produced a lot of passing. So, I think I agree with Large, and I think Logano would probably be my guy who is the weak link of the 8. But even then, he could go out there and do great things.
Yeah, he could win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Manoli, can you clip that? Finally, somebody fucking agreed with me. It's the first. And that's one of my least wild takes. Yeah. So you have Logano as the guy who, gun to your head, you see as the weakest link in this 8.
Right now, yes.
Quiggs?
I'm the same, but it's like, that's a gun to the head. I don't think there are any weak links. But
Spider, you got to shoot one guy. You and Quiggs, you got to shoot one guy. You're saying Logano, Quiggs?
Yeah. But
this sucks. I think that this is terrible. I had told you guys, have your final 4, all that. I think it's a terrible thing, because, even the points are not so, the difference between the number 1 point guy and the number 8 is not insurmountable in this round. So legitimately anything can happen, particularly almost every one of these drivers can win in Las Vegas this weekend. I know Denny doesn't run that well in Las Vegas. I get it, but any one of them can win there. Any one of them can win in Miami. And then Martinsville, you get a little bit more of a specialty type thing. So, Spider, you got to get rid of one. Quiggs, you said Logano, correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I almost wanted to switch it to Chase, but I'm sticking with
I'm
Logano.
going to go with Chase, and that's only because I think that Logano has a pretty good driver at Las Vegas, which you just called one of the most important races. If you look here in all of his races here, 22 races, he's got 13 top 10, so 3 wins to go with it. I don't know. I'd like Logano, especially now that I feel like he's the kind of guy you can't give like a second chance to, because he's going to take it and just fucking run with it. And that's why I remain concerned with them. Whereas Chase Elliott, don't get me wrong, I think he's had a good season. And, you know, it's good to see him back in the playoffs where he belongs. But I still think there's a little bit more work to do.
I'm skeptical on Blaney. Things have not fell his way. Not anything to do with Ryan Blaney. Sort of like that Chris Bell effect where shit blows up on him. He has 6 or 7 DNFs this season. I don't know. Is Blaney out of the question to be the guy that doesn't make it through?
He does have a DNF at Vegas in his last 7.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that we're going to have to knock out 4 drivers by the end of the show, and it's going to be one of the toughest things to do. But anyway, so this weekend you have 2 great races. The Better Health 302, it's on Xfinity and Cup are going to run simultaneous throughout the rest of the season, as mentioned last week. So Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on the CW. There was a headline this weekend saying that the CW might cover a couple of races remotely in either 25 or 26. That would be awful.
Yeah, that's terrible. I saw Dale Jr. was saying he tweeted it, quote tweeted it, and like disagreed. I forget what he said, but good.
I think he just said, "Do not do this,"
or
something like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we had this problem with Fox earlier in the year, maybe for Xfinity or something. But there was something where they obviously weren't at the track, and it made for an awful broadcast.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to James Hallis. He's the guy who gets us all our stuff. Got us Parker today. Works for NASCAR. He's very good with helping us get talent in the door. Last week, I'd gotten hosed going through somebody else, not James, trying to get another driver who I won't mention. And Ricky had stepped in last minute and all that kind of stuff. This week, I said, can I get Lee Diffie? Just because I think it would be cool to have the diff on. But he works actually more for NBC than NASCAR, so I think I'd have to go through different outlets in order to get him. That'd be a cool fucking guest.
That would be.
I think we could get him on.
I think so, right? It seems like he's such a just vibrant. Who should we get outside of drivers? I always wonder. I want to get Larry at some point. I just like him.
Maybe we start interviewing the NASCAR wives.
Oh, yeah. Who you want to start with, Spider?
Let's get them all at once. Do a round table.
Who do you want first up on the WEGs?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, I'll take Gianna. I think we've spoken to her.
She would be a good
times.
guest.
She's very
good. A friend of the program.
Yeah, and she's easy on the eyes, which is always good. That's what they say about me. So the Better 302 is on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on the CW, and then the South Point 400 is on Sunday at 2:30 on NBC. Larson is the defending champ, and then one here in March. Jimmy Johnson's running this week, Quiggs. Just so you know. So mark down your calendar. And with that, all we have to do is make some picks. So let's start picking the tires. It's brought to you by DraftKings. The roller coaster of an NFL season is moving right along, and it promises to be a month full of tricks, treats, and, of course, touchdowns. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner in the NFL, is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Running it in from 1 yard or an 80-yard bomb, we don't care how they score. We just want to bet on them, and DraftKings heard us and is now delivering. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple, like a player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. By the way, it's not as easy as it sounds, as Spider will tell you right after this. Here's a reason for new customers to do a touchdown dance of their own. You bet $5 and you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Rubbin. That's the code Rubbin. For new customers, get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Spider, how'd you do on that touchdown thing? Are you out? Were you the last man standing?
I had Saquon Barkley last week who did not score a touchdown. So there's 2 people left. It's Jersey Jerry or Hubbs.
Oh, wow.
Whoever wins, whoever's the last guy standing will compete for a $50,000 bonus bet on DraftKings. Shout out DraftKings. I had some bad luck, Large.
Did you?
The last 2 weeks I was lucky enough to win the $1,000 bonus bet because my touchdown scorer, not only did he score the touchdown, but he also had the longest odds out of anyone selected that week.
Uh-huh.
So I lost both the $1,000 bonus bets 2 straight weeks. And then I also lost my shot at the 50K with Saquon's refusal to score a touchdown on Sunday. And then I also lost at the Roval with Christopher Bell finishing P2. So it's tough.
Wheels are falling off for you.
The wheels are falling off. I remain hopeful and optimistic with my 2 championship NASCAR Cup Series futures between William Byron and Kyle Larson. I've been using and putting every single bonus bet I've gotten on DraftKings since March on either one of them to win the championship. So hopefully one of them can get it done.
This is coming across my desk via Moonhead. Bubba Pollard is running for Sam Hunt at Martinsville. Welcome to the team, Bubba Pollard, Redneck Jesus, and Senya America, ready to chase a grandfather clock at Martinsville.
Let's go.
Yeah, so Bubba Pollard, we'd given him some
Sick.
shine. A lot of people came after me when I said he kind of looked like Fred Flintstone. He didn't seem to mind. He put out that Bubba Dubba Doo fucking T-shirt or whatever. It was awesome. I bought 10 of them. So Bubba Pollard is going to be running in Martinsville. That's awesome. What a great fucking headline. I wish I would have seen that on my own. All right, let's try and get some bets this week. Let's try a rally here a little bit. I did cash on Christopher Bell top 3 last week. Do you mind if I go first, guys? Just get it out of the way.
Let's go for it.
I'm going to take Chase and Tyler plus Noah Gragson top 10. Top 10s aren't out yet. I'm going to take Tyler Reddick plus 900. I'm going to take Chase Elliott at plus 1100. And I'm going to take Noah Gragson at a top 10. Anybody else?
I'll do mine real quick. I got 3. So I think I hate doing the chalk, but I'm doing Kyle Larson. I think he's so good that it'd be dumb to pass him up. But then I think Christopher Bell's great value. He's got, from his last 10 1.5-mile tracks, 2 wins, 7 top 10s. And at Vegas, he's got 2 top 5s in his last 5. I think he's going to be really good. And then non-playoff driver that's really good at this track and has been good at mile and a half is Chastain, plus 1,600.
Okay.
He's had 4 top 5s in his last 5 races at Vegas. So I'm going to do that. I might even parlay all 3 of those as top 10s or top 5s. But that's what I'm going with this week.
Okay. Spider, what are you looking at?
I'm going to start with the Martin Truex top 10. I'm not sure what the odds are on that yet, but in his last 7 races here, he has 7 top 10s, an average finish of 6.9. We're getting down to the end of the season. Something tells me Martin Truex is not just going to roll out as an afterthought. Despite him being a guy who doesn't necessarily love attention, I think his legacy is kind of important to him. He's hanging it up on his own terms. He's still very much a talented driver, and I think we might get a glimpse of what he's got before he hangs it up forever. So I shouldn't say forever because he's already committed to the 500 for next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
But so yeah, I think this could be a good opportunity for Martin Truex. I'm going to take him as a top 10. Outside of that, I've got 2 other guys that I'm giving outright. William Byron and Christopher Bell. Both of these guys, you look at him, Christopher Bell was second place last week, and he's a guy that I would say is probably up there as a championship 4 favorite, if not a champion favorite. Well, he is all of those things, but in my mind personally. So I'm taking him. And then William Byron, another guy who's been running really well. I was hopeful that he would kind of get hot again as the season wound down, and that's exactly what's happened. In his last 3 races, he's got 3 top 5 finishes, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been getting hot at the right time. I think Byron is a good pick. If there's a guy I'm going with outside of Larson, it's Byron and Bell. It's those 2. So for those reasons, those are my outrights. I'm going to add Martin Truex top 10 as my third play, and then maybe some other plays to follow. So keep an eye on Rubbin His Racing socials for the official card on Sunday.
I like it.
Moon, what are you saying?
I really like Bell, but aside from him, I think the only other one I'm going to go with is Reddick. I think he's, after that drive at the Roval, I mean, that guy's going to be on fire.
He's the team of destiny, Tyler Reddick? We just said
he might be.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody touched Kyle Busch in Las Vegas. I thought somebody would fucking
home track.
Yeah, it's done, huh? Even though he knows how JGR set up their car.
Yeah, he's got the setup.
Right? The whole deal. We're still not going Kyle Busch. I don't know what I have to do to convince you. All right, so that's it for Rubbin His Racing. Listen, we will put it out on our social, but Spider is streaming, doing a live stream of the sim stuff, right? And he's doing it with Chef Donnie. He's been getting into the moon car stuff. I don't know much about it, so I don't know why I'm the one fucking talking. Spider, what do we want to promote with this?
Yeah, we're going to have a couple streams, probably like about, not this week, but next week we're going to be back with the streams. Shout out Vanderhagen and Beard Guys for their support in that capacity. Yeah, it's really whatever Moonhead and I cook up. We've been doing some head-to-head racing where Chef Donnie and I race versus each other and some AI robots, and then we open it up to the public. So if you have iRacing, make sure you stay tuned and you can come join our Barstool Open races. And if you don't have iRacing, I'm working to get some subscriptions that we could give out to people in the chat. So make sure you tune into the chat, come support the chat. But yeah, that's really it. I don't have a specific date. It's really at the hands of the sales team, but not this week. Next week we'll be back with a live stream from what I understand, and we will be promoting it on social. So make sure you're tuned in there.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. We're in the home stretch, as they say. We'll see you next week on Rubbin is Racing.